Meanwhile, in Wayne Manor's vast dining room, someone has to set the table for Thanksgiving dinner, even when every chair will remain empty except one. Welcome, friend. You've wandered into another quiet corner of service and solitude. Tonight, we're stepping into the polished halls of Wayne Manor on Thanksgiving evening, where preparing a feast for one becomes an act of devotion, and where the most extraordinary house in Gotham reveals itself through its most ordinary rituals. Here, in the butler's pantry and the grand kitchen, you'll discover that even when the family is scattered across the city, someone still needs to maintain traditions, no matter how many place settings remain unused. So before you settle in for this evening with me, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more tales from the service side of legendary places. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight. It's always good to know who's keeping me company during these quiet preparations. Now, get comfortable. Let the gentle sounds of a great house at rest surround you, and allow the small, steady rituals of Thanksgiving evening to guide you gently towards sleep. You wake at 4:47 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning, 3 minutes before your alarm is set to sound. This is not unusual. After 43 years of service at Wayne Manor, your body has internalized the rhythms of the household to such a degree that mechanical timekeepers have become almost redundant. You reach over and silence the alarm before it can ring, a small gesture of consideration for the sleeping house. Though there's no one here to disturb, the staff quarters are located in the East Wing's upper floor, a suite of rooms that have been yours for over 4 decades. The bedroom is modest but comfortable, furnished with pieces that would be considered quite fine in an ordinary household, but are simple by Wayne Manor standards. A 4-poster bed with a mattress that you personally selected 15 years ago for its proper firmness. A wardrobe of dark wood that holds your carefully maintained professional attire. A dresser with a mirror above it, and a small writing desk near the window. The room is cool. You prefer sleeping in a properly chilled environment with sufficient blankets to maintain comfort without overheating. The temperature is precisely 62 degrees Fahrenheit, maintained by the Manor's sophisticated climate control system that you programmed yourself. The air has that particular stillness that comes in the hours before dawn, when even the house's normal settling sounds have quieted to near silence. You sit up slowly, allowing your body time to adjust to vertical orientation. At 67 years of age, certain concessions to physicality become necessary, though you pride yourself on maintaining excellent health through proper diet, regular exercise, and disciplined sleep patterns. Your feet find the floor, hardwood, polished to a soft sheen, covered by a Persian rug whose threads have been walked upon by 3 generations of Wayne butlers. The bedside lamp switches on with a soft click, casting warm light that's neither too bright nor too dim. You've replaced this bulb 3 times, always with the same wattage and colour temperature, maintaining consistency in these small details that create the texture of daily life. The lamp itself is older than you are, a gift to your predecessor from Thomas Wayne, Bruce's grandfather. Your robe hangs on its designated hook, right where you placed it before retiring last night at 10:15 p.m. The fabric is heavy cotton, dark blue, appropriate for the early morning chill that pervades even well-heated houses. You slip it on with practiced ease, tying the belt with the exact tension you've used every morning for decades, snug enough to stay closed, loose enough to remain comfortable. The adjoining bathroom is small but impeccably maintained, with fixtures that date from the Manor's 1920s renovation, but have been kept in perfect working order through diligent care and occasional discreet updates. The sink's chrome faucets gleam even in the low light, and the mirror above reflects your face with the unforgiving clarity of quality glass. Your reflection shows what you expect: grey hair, neatly trimmed, the lines of age earned through decades of service, eyes that remain sharp despite the years, the particular expression of composed readiness that has become your default, neither severe nor warm, but attentive, professional, prepared. The morning ablutions follow their invariable pattern. Water runs hot within seconds. The Manor's plumbing is maintained to exacting standards. You shave with the straight razor that was a gift from Bruce on your 60th birthday. Its blade honed to perfection through weekly maintenance. The ritual of shaving is meditative. Soap lathered carefully, strokes following the grain, skin rinsed with cold water to close pores, aftershave applied sparingly. Teeth are brushed for exactly 2 minutes, timed not by clock but by the internal sense developed through repetition. Dental hygiene is non-negotiable. Poor teeth are incompatible with professional service. Your dentist, whom you visit every 6 months without fail, consistently compliments your oral health, though you accept this as simple confirmation of proper maintenance rather than cause for pride. You dress in stages, each garment selected and donned with deliberate care. First, the undergarments, simple, well-fitting, replaced on a regular schedule before wear becomes visible. Then the undershirt, white and crisp. The dress shirt also white with French cuffs that will accommodate your silver cufflinks, the ones engraved with the Wayne family crest, gifted to you on your 20th anniversary of service. The trousers are black, precisely hemmed to break slightly over your polished Oxfords. The belt is leather, black, with a simple buckle that makes no statement beyond functionality. The waistcoat comes next, buttoned completely, creating the foundation for the professional silhouette that you've maintained throughout your career. Finally, the jacket. Black, tailored to your exact measurements by the same Gotham clothier who has dressed you for 30 years. The fabric is fine wool, durable but refined, cut in the traditional British butler's style that you've never seen reason to abandon. The fit is perfect because you maintain the same weight year after year through disciplined eating, not rigorous, not restrictive, simply consistent. The cufflinks slide through their holes with the ease of frequently performed action. Your pocket watch, another gift, this one from Thomas and Martha Wayne on your 10th anniversary, slips into its designated pocket. The watch chain attaches with practiced fingers. The time shows 5:23 a.m., confirming what your internal clock already knew. A glance in the full-length mirror near the wardrobe shows what you need to see: a professional ready for service. The image is identical to yesterday's version and tomorrow's, unchanged by anything except the slow march of aging that affects all things but cannot be allowed to affect standards. You make your bed with military precision, corners hospital crisp, coverlets smooth and centered, pillows arranged symmetrically. This is not because anyone will inspect your quarters, but because beginning the day with disorder creates permission for decline elsewhere. Discipline is not situational, it is constant. The bedroom is left exactly as it should be, clean, ordered, ready for your return this evening. You exit, closing the door with a soft click that disturbs nothing, and make your way through the dim corridors toward the service stairs that will take you down to the working heart of Wayne Manor. The house is silent around you, not the silence of abandonment, but the silence of a great building at rest. The walls hold the warmth of their daytime heating, releasing it slowly through the night. The floors don't creak. You long ago identified and corrected every loose board. The air smells faintly of the furniture polish you personally apply every Saturday. The wood cleaner used on banisters, and underneath it all, the particular scent that is simply Wayne Manor. Old wood, old stone, old money, and the accumulated atmosphere of a house that has stood witness to a century of Gotham history. You descend the service stairs with the quiet efficiency of someone who has walked these steps thousands of times. Your hand knows exactly where the railing will be. Your feet know precisely where each step ends. No light is necessary. You could navigate Wayne Manor blindfolded if required, though there's no reason to attempt such an unnecessary demonstration. The door at the bottom of the stairs opens onto the ground floor corridor that leads to the kitchen wing. This is the Manor's working territory. Less grand than the public rooms, but more essential. Here is where the labour happens, that makes gracious living possible. Food prepared, linens laundered, silver polished, and all the countless small tasks that maintain a household of this scale. The kitchen door swings open silently. You oiled the hinges just last week, and you step into the domain where you'll spend most of today preparing a Thanksgiving feast that will be consumed by exactly one person, yourself. The kitchen lights come on in stages as you flip switches, illuminating a space that manages to feel both industrial and domestic. The room was last renovated in 2008, updated with modern appliances while maintaining the aesthetic of the manor's original design. 6-burner professional range with double ovens, commercial refrigerator and separate freezer, vast stretches of marble countertop that you wipe down every evening before retiring, copper pots hanging from overhead racks, each one polished monthly, whether used or not. Everything is exactly where it should be, because you are the one who puts things away and the one who retrieves them. There is no one else to create disorder, no one else to misplace items or leave cabinet doors ajar. The kitchen exists in a state of permanent readiness, waiting only for your arrival to activate its purpose. You begin, as always, with coffee. The coffee preparation ritual at Wayne Manor has been refined over decades to produce results that are not merely adequate, but exemplary. You do not believe in performing any task at less than the highest standard you can maintain, and coffee, consumed every morning without fail, deserves the same attention as any other element of proper service. The beans are stored in an airtight container in the pantry, kept away from light and heat to preserve their volatile compounds. You selected this particular blend yourself, a medium roast from a small roaster in Gotham's Diamond District, who has supplied Wayne Manor for 23 years. The beans are delivered fresh every 2 weeks, and you grind them as needed, never more than a day's supply in advance. The grinder is a burr grinder, German-made, calibrated to produce grounds of exact consistency. You measure out 32 grams of beans. You long ago stopped needing to check the scale. Your hand simply knows the weight, and pour them into the grinder. The machine whirs to life, with a sound that seems too loud in the pre-dawn kitchen, though there's no one to disturb. The grounds collect in the receptacle below, releasing their fragrance into the air. Earth, chocolate, a hint of citrus. The French press is glass and steel, simple but well made, purchased to replace its predecessor, which served faithfully for 14 years before the glass finally cracked. You spoon the grounds into the press with a dedicated measuring spoon. Cross-contamination of utensils is poor practice, and set the kettle to boil. The kettle is electric, modern, precise. Water temperature matters. Too hot and you scald the grounds, too cool and you under-extract. The kettle will shut off automatically at 203 degrees Fahrenheit, the optimal temperature determined through experimentation and confirmed by research into coffee chemistry that you conducted with the same thoroughness you apply to all domestic science. While the water heats, you retrieve your mug from its designated shelf. The mug is white porcelain, heavy enough to retain heat but not so heavy as to be cumbersome. It holds exactly 12 fluid ounces when filled to the appropriate level. Not to the brim, which would risk spillage, but to the point that allows comfortable handling without sacrificing volume. The kettle clicks off. You pour the water over the grounds in a slow, steady stream, watching as the coffee blooms and rises. The press's plunger sits to the side, waiting. A timer, mental, not mechanical, begins counting down the 4 minutes required for optimal extraction. You stand at the counter, not moving to other tasks, simply waiting. This is not inefficiency, this is mindfulness. These 4 minutes are the first pause in your day, the first moment of simple presence before the work truly begins. The kitchen around you is warm now from the oven's pilot lights and the gradually increasing temperature as the house's heating system responds to the new day. The timer in your mind completes its countdown. You press the plunger slowly, evenly, filtering the grounds from the liquid they've transformed. The coffee pours into your mug with the dark richness of proper preparation, steam rising in gentle curls that catch the overhead lights. You add no sugar, no cream. Black coffee reveals the quality of its preparation. Additions mask flaws, but also mask success. The first sip is taken standing at the counter, the liquid hot but not scalding, bitter but balanced, with the complexity that good beans and proper technique produce. This first cup of the day is always the best, not because subsequent cups are inferior, but because this one marks the transition from sleep to work, from personal time to service. You drink it slowly, in no rush, because the morning's tasks are planned and will be completed on schedule, regardless of whether this coffee is savoured or gulped. Through the kitchen window, visible now that your eyes have adjusted to the lighted interior, the manor's grounds are still dark. November in Gotham means late sunrises, early sunsets, and the particular quality of autumn air that makes everything seem quieter, more contemplative. The gardens are visible only as shapes against slightly lighter sky. The hedge maze, the fountain, the distant tree line that marks the property's eastern boundary. You drink your coffee and look out at the darkness, thinking about nothing in particular and everything in aggregate. Today is Thanksgiving. The house is empty, except for you. Master Bruce is in the city, maintaining his vigil. He sent word yesterday that he would not be returning. For dinner, Master Dick is in Blüdhaven with his chosen family. Master Tim is in San Francisco. Master Damien is with his mother. Miss Barbara is with her father. Master Jason's whereabouts are, as always, uncertain, though you maintain hope that wherever he is safe. The family is scattered, each member attending to their own obligations, their own versions of service. You do not judge this. Duty takes many forms, and the protection of Gotham that occupies Master Bruce cannot be scheduled around holidays. Still, there is a particular quality to preparing Thanksgiving dinner when the table will hold only one place setting. You finish your coffee, rinse the mug thoroughly, and place it in the designated drying rack. The French press receives similar attention. Grounds removed to the compost, glass rinsed until clear, all parts separated to dry properly. These small acts of maintenance, performed without fail after each use, are why the equipment lasts for years rather than months. The kitchen clock shows 5:51 a.m. Sunrise will occur at 6:47 a.m. You have nearly an hour before natural light will supplement the artificial, an hour to begin the day's preparations while the house remains wrapped in its pre-dawn quiet. You retrieve your leather-bound notebook from its drawer, the one where you keep daily schedules, shopping lists, and the running inventory of manor supplies. Today's page has been prepared for a week, the timing of each task calculated to ensure that everything will be ready for a 6:12 p.m. dinner service, even though you're both the preparer and the sole diner. The menu has been planned with the same care you would use if the entire family were gathering. Tradition matters, perhaps especially when no one is present to witness it. A meal prepared with less attention, simply because the audience is small, is a concession you're unwilling to make. You will prepare roast turkey, 14 pounds, with herb butter and aromatics, traditional sage and sausage stuffing, cooked separately for food safety. Garlic mashed potatoes with cream and butter, green beans with shallots and almonds, roasted root vegetables with maple glaze, cranberry sauce, homemade from fresh berries, turkey gravy from pan drippings, dinner rolls, baked fresh this afternoon, pumpkin pie with whipped cream, made yesterday. It is a substantial menu for one person, you acknowledge. Most of it will become leftovers that you'll eat throughout the weekend or freeze in carefully portioned containers. But the point of the meal is not efficiency, it's continuity, tradition, the maintenance of standards regardless of audience. You begin, as all complex cooking must begin, with organisation and preparation. The Wayne Manor pantry is a room unto itself, nearly 12 feet by 14 feet, lined floor to ceiling with shelves that hold the provisions necessary to maintain a household that, while smaller than in decades past, still requires substantial stores. You step inside, pulling the chain on the overhead light, and the space illuminates to reveal the result of decades of organizational refinement. Everything has its place, arranged both alphabetically within categories and by frequency of use. Baking supplies occupy the left wall, flours of various types in airtight containers, sugars both granulated and brown, baking powder and baking soda in containers that you replace every 6 months, regardless of whether they're empty, pure vanilla extract that costs more than most people spend on entire meals, but produces results that justify the expense. The center shelving holds canned goods, arranged with labels facing forward, older items rotated to the front. First in, first out, the fundamental principle of inventory management. Tomatoes, beans, stocks and broths, vegetables for emergency use when fresh produce is unavailable. You check expiration dates weekly, removing anything within a month of its date, even if it would likely remain safe beyond that point. Risk is not worth the minor savings of using nearly expired goods. The right wall holds dry goods, pasta in various shapes, rice both white and brown, dried legumes in glass jars that allow visual confirmation of their contents. Oils and vinegars occupy a lower shelf, protected from light that would degrade their quality. You have olive oil, extra virgin, cold pressed, from a specific producer in Italy, whose bottles you recognize by shape as much as by label. Vegetable oil for high heat cooking, sesame oil for the occasional Asian-inspired dish, vinegars in variety, balsamic, red wine, white wine, apple cider, rice. You move through the pantry with the practiced efficiency of someone performing inventory. Though you already know what's here, you purchased it, received it, and shelved it yourself. The ritual of checking serves multiple purposes. It confirms supply, it familiarizes you with exact locations, and it provides a moment of structured thought before the less predictable work of actual cooking begins. Today's menu requires items from multiple categories. You begin gathering ingredients, setting them on the work counter just outside the pantry door. 3 pounds of sage sausage from the freezer, defrosted overnight, fresh rosemary and thyme from the kitchen herb garden that you tend personally, 4 large russet potatoes, 2 pounds of green beans, fresh from the Gotham farmers market where you shopped 2 days ago, root vegetables, carrots, parsnips, sweet potatoes, a bag of fresh cranberries, heavy cream, butter, unsalted European style with higher butterfat content that produces superior results in both cooking and baking. The organization of ingredients is itself a form of preparation. French cooks call it mise en place, everything in its place. You learned this principle 43 years ago during your formal training, and you've never found reason to abandon it. Cooking chaos emerges from disorganization. Cooking excellence emerges from preparation. The turkey is already defrosting in the refrigerator, where you placed it 3 days ago on Monday evening, allowing for the slow, safe thaw that prevents bacterial growth while preserving texture. 14 pounds, which will seem excessive for one person, but is actually the smallest size that produces good results. Smaller birds tend toward dryness, their geometry unfavourable for even cooking. You'll have turkey sandwiches for days, turkey soup from the carcass, and frozen portions that will supplement meals through December. You retrieve the turkey now, carrying it to the main counter where you'll prepare it for roasting. The bird is still cool, but no longer frozen, its flesh giving slightly under finger pressure. Perfect. The packaging comes away cleanly, and you discard it in the waste bin designated for meat products, a bin you'll empty later today to prevent any possibility of odour. The turkey sits on a large cutting board, waiting. Its skin is pale and slightly damp, the texture that indicates proper defrosting. You'll need to dry it thoroughly before applying seasonings. Moisture is the enemy of crispy skin, and crispy skin is not optional, it's essential. But first, coffee. Your mug has dried in its rack, and the French press is ready for its second use of the morning. You repeat the ritual. Grind beans, boil water, pour, wait, press, pour. The second cup of the day is taken to the small desk in the corner of the kitchen where you keep the household accounts and meal planning materials. You sit, you sip, and you review today's timeline one more time. 6 a.m. begin turkey preparation. 7:30 a.m. turkey in oven. 8 a.m. prepare stuffing. 9 a.m. breakfast, then morning household checks. 11 a.m. prepare vegetables. 12 p.m. begin pie assembly, crust already made yesterday. 1 p.m. monitor turkey, begin gravy base. 2 p.m. prepare potato and green bean components. 3 p.m. mix dinner. Roll dough, first rise. 4 p.m. shape rolls. Second rise. 5 p.m. final preparations, coordination of finishing times. 6 p.m. dinner service. It's an ambitious schedule, but not unreasonable. You've prepared Thanksgiving dinner at Wayne Manor for the past 38 years, adjusting the scale as the family grew and then contracted, but maintaining the same standards regardless of numbers. This year's single-person dinner will be no less carefully executed than the year there were 12 at table. The coffee is finished, the mug is rinsed, the timeline is reviewed and internalized. The kitchen waits, ready for the day's work to truly begin. You stand, roll your shoulders, once to release any residual stiffness, and approach the turkey with the focus that proper cooking demands. Let the preparation commence. The turkey rests on the cutting board, a substantial bird that will dominate the oven for the next 4.5 hours. You begin by patting it dry with paper towels, pressing, gently but firmly, to absorb the surface moisture that accumulated during defrosting. The skin must be completely dry. This is non-negotiable if you want the mahogany crispness that marks a properly roasted bird. Fresh paper towels, applied multiple times until no moisture transfers to the absorbent paper. You check the cavity as well, reaching inside with more toweling to dry the interior surfaces. The giblets were removed yesterday during your initial inspection. They're currently in a small saucepan with water, simmering on the back burner to create stock that will enrich your gravy. The neck bone adds body, the heart and gizzard add flavour. The liver sits separately. You'll prepare it later as a small staff treat, though staff today means only yourself. With the turkey dry, you begin the seasoning process. The herb butter was prepared yesterday, a compound butter of softened, unsalted butter mixed with minced fresh rosemary, thyme and sage, along with finely grated lemon zest, salt and freshly ground black pepper. The mixture rested overnight in the refrigerator, allowing the flavours to meld and intensify. You begin working the herb butter under the turkey's skin, a process that requires patience and gentle hands. Starting at the cavity end, you carefully separate skin from flesh, creating pockets without tearing the delicate membrane. Your fingers slide under the skin, covering the breast, working slowly, feeling for the natural separation that exists but must be widened. The butter goes in by handfuls, distributed as evenly as possible across the breast meat, the thighs, any surface where you can create separation without damaging the skin. This technique bastes the meat from the inside as it cooks, the butter melting and infusing the flesh with herbs, while the skin above crisps in the dry oven heat. It's more effective than surface basting and less prone to cooling the oven through repeated door opening. Once the butter is distributed, you massage the skin gently from the outside, evening out any obvious lumps, creating as uniform a layer as possible. Then more butter, regular, not herbed, rubbed across the entire outside surface of the bird. Salt and pepper follow, applied with your hands rather than shakers, allowing you to feel the coverage and ensure even distribution. Inside the cavity you place aromatics, a quartered onion, chunks of celery, sprigs of fresh herbs, and a halved lemon. These will not be eaten. Their purpose is to perfume the meat from within, adding subtle complexity to the flavour. The turkey will taste of turkey, but turkey enhanced, turkey elevated to its best possible expression. Trussing comes next. The string is kitchen twine, cotton, purchased in bulk from a restaurant supply house. You cut a length approximately 3 feet long. You've done this enough times that measuring is unnecessary, and begin the process of binding the bird into a compact, evenly shaped package. The legs cross over the cavity, opening, their ends tied together. The wings tuck back against the body, held in place by additional twine looped around the breast. The result is a turkey that will cook evenly, without exposed wingtips burning or leg joints drying out before the breast reaches temperature. You step back to examine your work. The turkey looks exactly as it should. Compact, evenly shaped, well seasoned, ready for the oven. This is not art in the aesthetic sense, but it is craftsmanship. Skilled hands performing practice techniques to produce results that meet exacting standards. The roasting pan is large enough to accommodate the bird, with room to spare, important for air circulation. The rack sits inside the pan, elevating the turkey so hot air can circulate beneath. You place the bird breast up on the rack, position the pan in the oven's center, and close the door with the solid sound of good German engineering. The oven temperature was set to preheat 30 minutes ago. You started it before beginning your coffee inventory. The thermometer reads 325 degrees Fahrenheit, verified by the oven's built-in gauge and confirmed by a separate oven thermometer that you purchased specifically to ensure accuracy. Ovens lie. Thermometers, when properly calibrated, tell the truth. The turkey will roast for approximately 4.5 hours, though time is less important than temperature. The bird is done when the thickest part of the thigh reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit, verified by a meat thermometer inserted deep into the flesh without touching bone. You'll check it starting at 4 hours, then every 15 minutes until it reaches the target temperature. With the turkey in the oven, the kitchen's atmosphere begins to change. The smell of roasting meat and herbs will gradually fill the space, the olfactory signal that Thanksgiving preparations are underway. But that will take time. For now, the kitchen still smells primarily of coffee and the faint background scent of marble cleaner from yesterday's counter scrubbing. You wash your hands thoroughly with hot water and antibacterial soap, scrubbing for a full 20 seconds, the minimum required to remove poultry bacteria. The cutting board that held the raw turkey goes directly into the sink for immediate cleaning. Cross-contamination is prevented through vigilance, not luck. Hot water, dish soap, and a dedicated scrub brush remove all traces of raw meat. The board is then sanitized with a dilute bleach solution, rinsed thoroughly and set aside to dry. The kitchen clock shows 7:37 a.m. The turkey is in the oven on schedule. The first major task of the day is complete. You allow yourself a moment of satisfaction, not pride, which would be excessive, but the quiet contentment that comes from a task properly performed. Now, while the turkey begins its long roast, you can turn attention to other elements of the meal. But first, one more cup of coffee, taken standing at the window, watching as the sky gradually lightens toward the sunrise, still 10 minutes away. The grounds beyond the window are beginning to reveal themselves in the pre-dawn light, the shapes of trees becoming distinct, the paths through the garden becoming visible, the fountain in the rose garden transforming from a dark mass into a recognizable structure. Wayne Manor sits on its hill above Gotham like a watchful sentinel, and from this kitchen window you can see the city below, its light still blazing against the darkness, unaware that a single butler is preparing Thanksgiving dinner in a house empty of everyone except himself. You drink your coffee and watch the day arrive, thinking about all the Thanksgivings past, all the dinners prepared, all the families gathered and then departed. The manor has seen so much, joy and tragedy, celebration and mourning, the full spectrum of human experience compressed into one family's long history. Today's solitary dinner is simply another point on that continuum, neither better nor worse than what came before, simply what is. The coffee is finished, the sunrise is complete, the turkey roasts quietly in the oven, requiring no attention for the next several hours. It's time to move forward with the day's preparations, time to transform ingredients into the meal that tradition requires and personal standards demand. You rinse your mug one more time and set it aside to dry. The work continues. Stuffing or dressing, depending on regional preference, is one of those dishes that generates strong opinions about proper preparation. You learned decades ago that there is no single correct method, only techniques that produce results consistent with one's goals. Your goal is straightforward. Create a savoury, moist, well-seasoned mixture that complements the turkey without competing with it, that holds together when served but isn't dense or gummy, that tastes of autumn herbs and good bread and the subtle sweetness of cooked aromatics. You begin with bread. 2 loaves of French bread, purchased 3 days ago from the bakery in Gotham's Old Town district that's been supplying Wayne Manor since before you arrived. The bread has been sitting out, uncovered, on the counter for those 3 days, deliberately stalling. Fresh bread makes poor stuffing. It's too soft, too moist, and it disintegrates during cooking. Stale bread maintains structure while absorbing the flavours you'll add. The loaves are cut into 1-inch cubes with your bread knife, its serrated edge making clean cuts through the firm crumb. You work methodically, cutting each slice into strips, then cutting across to create cubes. The repetitive motion is soothing, requiring just enough attention to prevent injury, but not so much that your mind cannot wander slightly, thinking about nothing in particular. The cubes go onto 2 large sheet pans, spread in single layers to ensure even toasting. The oven, still occupied by the turkey, cannot accommodate these pans, so you use the Manor's second oven, a smaller wall unit in the pantry specifically for baking. The temperature is set to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. The pans slide in, and you set your mental timer for 20 minutes, when you'll need to stir the cubes and rotate the pans for even browning. While the bread toasts, you prepare the aromatic base. 3 stalks of celery, washed and dried, are diced into 1/4-inch pieces. The repetitive sound of knife against cutting board creates a rhythm that fills the quiet kitchen. Tap, 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 each cut precise, each piece approximately the same size for even cooking. 2 large yellow onions follow, their layers separated and chopped. The cutting board soon covered with a mound of translucent white pieces that will cook down to sweet soft fragments in the final dish. The sausage, 3 pounds of sage sausage, defrosted overnight, requires browning. You heat a large skillet over medium-high heat, add the sausage and begin breaking it into pieces with a wooden spoon. The meat sizzles as moisture evaporates and fat renders out, filling the kitchen with the savoury smell of pork and spices. You stir constantly, breaking larger pieces into smaller ones, seeking an even texture of fine crumbles rather than large chunks. The sausage browns, its grey surface turning to mahogany as the Maillard reaction transforms proteins and sugars into new flavour compounds. This is basic food chemistry, the reason that browned meat tastes different from boiled meat, the foundation of why properly cooked food is superior to food that's merely heated through. You cook until the sausage shows no pink, then use a slotted spoon to transfer it to a bowl, leaving the rendered fat in the pan. Into that fat goes the celery and onions, the vegetables hitting the hot surface with a loud sizzle that slowly subsides to a gentle bubbling. You reduce the heat to medium, add a pinch of salt to draw out moisture, and begin the slow process of softening the aromatics. This will take 15 minutes or more. You don't rush it. The goal is translucent, tender vegetables that have given up their harsh, raw flavour but retained their structural integrity. You stir occasionally, scraping the bottom of the pan to prevent sticking, enjoying the way the celery softens and the onions become increasingly transparent. The smell is wonderful, simple, elemental, the building blocks of countless dishes across countless cuisines. Celery and onions cooking in fat is not exotic, but it is foundational, the base upon which complexity is built. The timer for the bread goes off in your head. 20 minutes have passed with that uncanny precision that experience provides. You retrieve the sheet pans from the oven, stir the cubes, rotate the pans, and return them for another 20 minutes. The bread is beginning to colour, its edges showing the pale gold that will deepen to rich brown by the time the toasting is complete. Back to the stove, where the celery and onions have reached the proper state of softness. You add minced garlic, 4 cloves, pressed through a garlic press to release maximum flavour, and stir for 30 seconds, just until the sharp smell mellows to something sweeter and more complex. Garlic burns easily. This brief cooking is sufficient. Fresh herbs go in next. 2 tablespoons of minced sage, 1 tablespoon of thyme leaves, a tablespoon of chopped rosemary. The herbs hit the hot vegetables and immediately release their volatile oils, the scent so strong it almost feels tactile. This is the smell of Thanksgiving, the olfactory signal that the holiday has arrived even when the house is empty. You turn off the heat and let the mixture cool slightly. The sausage goes back in, stirred through to combine everything. The result is a fragrant mixture that will become the binding agent for the stuffing, the element that holds the bread together and infuses it with flavour. The bread cubes emerge from the oven, now properly toasted. Golden brown, crispy outside, still slightly soft inside, perfect for absorbing liquid without disintegrating. You empty both pans into a very large mixing bowl, the cubes creating a small mountain of carbohydrate that will feed one person for the next week at least. The sausage mixture goes over the bread. 2 cups of chicken stock, homemade from a batch you prepared last month and froze in careful portions. Pour over everything. 2 eggs, beaten, add richness and help bind the mixture. Salt and pepper season the whole thing. Then you begin mixing with your hands, the most effective tool for ensuring even distribution of ingredients. Your hands work through the mixture, tossing and pressing gently, feeling the bread soften as it absorbs liquid, checking that every cube gets coated with the sausage mixture, ensuring that no dry pockets remain. The texture should be moist but not soggy. If you squeeze a handful, it should hold together, but liquid shouldn't run out. You achieve this partly through measurement and partly through experience. The tactile knowledge that comes from making this dish dozens of times. The stuffing goes into a large baking dish, pressed in gently to create an even layer about 2 inches deep. You cover it with foil. It will go into the oven later, timed to finish cooking when everything else is ready. Covered, it will steam and stay moist. Uncovered for the final 15 minutes, it will develop a crispy top that contrasts pleasantly with the soft interior. You step back and regard the completed stuffing with satisfaction. This is comfort food in its essence. Simple ingredients, properly prepared, that will taste of tradition and careful attention. It will be good because you made it correctly, and it will be eaten alone because that's the circumstance. But the quality is not diminished by the absence of an audience. The kitchen clock shows 9:17 a.m, right on schedule. The turkey roasts, the stuffing awaits its time in the oven, and you have reached the natural break point in the morning's work. Time for breakfast, light but sustaining, before returning to the afternoon's preparations. You prepare yourself a simple meal. Scrambled eggs, a slice of toast, a glass of orange juice. You eat standing at the counter, reading the morning's Gotham Gazette on your tablet, scanning the headlines but not engaging deeply. The food is consumed efficiently, the dishes are washed and dried, and you're ready to continue. The manor itself requires attention. Work doesn't stop simply because it's a holiday. You make your rounds, checking that all doors are properly locked, that the security system shows no alerts, that the temperature in each zone is appropriate, that everything is as it should be in a house this size. These checks take 30 minutes, a walking tour of public rooms and private spaces, service areas and guest quarters, the ballroom that hasn't hosted an event in years, but remains perpetually ready should the need arise. Everything is in order. The house is doing what houses do, existing, sheltering, maintaining its structural integrity against the slow entropy that affects all things. You return to the kitchen where the smell of roasting turkey has begun to assert itself properly, the savoury scent mixing with the lingering aroma of sausage and herbs to create the olfactory signature of Thanksgiving. Back to work. The meal will not prepare itself, and the afternoon stretches ahead with tasks that require attention, care, and the steady application of decades of culinary knowledge. You consult your timeline, note the next task, and gather the necessary ingredients. The preparation continues, one dish at a time, building toward the evening's solitary feast with the same dedication you would apply if the dining room were full of family. Standards are not negotiable. Excellence is not optional. This is Wayne Manor, and you are its butler, and as long as you hold this position, the work will be done properly. The root vegetables wait in a colander in the sink, already washed but requiring further preparation. Root vegetables are forgiving in many ways. They tolerate longer cooking times than delicate greens. They maintain structure under heat. They develop sweetness as their starches convert. But they still demand proper technique for optimal results. You begin with the carrots. 6 large carrots, their skins already scrubbed clean under cold running water earlier this morning. The peeler moves down each carrot in long, even strokes, removing the thin outer layer that can be slightly bitter. The motion is rhythmic, almost hypnotic. Position the peeler at the top. Draw it down firmly, but not aggressively. Let the peel curl away into the sink. Rotate the carrot slightly. Repeat. 4 or 5 strokes per carrot, depending on its circumference, until the orange flesh is uniformly exposed. Each peeled carrot is rinsed under cold water to remove any clinging peel fragments, then placed on the cutting board. You cut off both ends, the green tops were already removed, but you trim another 1/4 inch to ensure freshness. Then you begin cutting, first in half lengthwise, then each half into quarters if the carrot is particularly thick. The goal is pieces approximately 3/4 of an inch thick and 2 inches long, uniform sizing that ensures even roasting. The cut carrots go into a large bowl. You're not done with root vegetables yet. 4 parsnips come next. Parsnips are less common than carrots in American cooking, which is a pity. They have a sweet, slightly nutty flavour that roasts beautifully. These are medium-sized, about 8 inches long, pale cream in colour. The peeling process is identical to the carrots. Long strokes, even pressure, rotating to ensure complete coverage. Parsnips have woody cores that can be unpleasant if left in, especially in larger specimens. You check each one by cutting it in half lengthwise. If the core is fibrous and tough, you can tell by its slightly different colour and texture. You cut it out in a thin V shape. These parsnips are young enough that the cores are still tender, so you leave them in. They're cut to match the carrots, 3/4 inch thickness, 2 inch lengths, pieces that will roast at the same rate. 3 sweet potatoes follow. Sweet potatoes are technically not potatoes at all. They're from a different botanical family. But this distinction matters only to botanists and pedants. What matters to you is that they roast into creamy, caramelized pieces that add colour and sweetness to the vegetable medley. These sweet potatoes don't need peeling. The skins will soften during roasting and add texture and nutrients. You scrub them thoroughly with a vegetable brush, removing any clinging dirt, then dry them with a clean towel. The cutting process is straightforward. Cut off the ends, slice each potato in half lengthwise, then cut each half into 1 inch chunks. Slightly larger than the carrots and parsnips, but that's intentional. Sweet potatoes cook faster, and you want everything to finish simultaneously. 2 medium red onions complete the vegetable selection. Red onions are milder than yellow, sweeter when roasted, and they add visual interest with their purple-red colour. You cut off both ends, remove the papery outer skin, then cut each onion in half from pole to pole. Each half is then cut into quarters, the layers separating naturally into curved pieces that will caramelize at the edges while staying tender in the centres. All the vegetables go into a very large bowl together. You drizzle olive oil over them, about a quarter cup, enough to coat everything lightly when tossed. Salt and freshly ground black pepper season the mixture. Dried thyme, a tablespoon, adds herbal notes that complement the vegetable's natural sweetness. Your hands mix everything together, ensuring even oil distribution, checking that every piece has been touched by seasoning. The maple glaze requires separate preparation. Into a small saucepan goes a quarter cup of pure maple syrup, not pancake syrup, which is corn syrup with artificial flavouring, but actual maple syrup tapped from trees and boiled down to concentrated sweetness. 2 tablespoons of butter, a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar for acidity to balance the sweet, a pinch of salt, a few grinds of black pepper. You set the saucepan over medium-low heat and stir as the butter melts into the syrup, the mixture becoming glossy and uniform. Once combined, you remove it from heat and let it cool slightly. This glaze will be brushed onto the vegetables halfway through roasting, creating a lacquered finish that's both beautiful and delicious. The vegetables go onto 2 large sheet pans. You never crowd vegetables when roasting, as overcrowding causes steaming rather than caramelization. The pieces are spread in single layers with space between them, allowing hot air to circulate. They'll go into the oven later, time to finish cooking when everything else is ready. But for now, they wait, prep complete, ready for their moment. You wash the bowl, the cutting board, the peeler, and the knife. The sink is wiped clean of vegetable peelings, which go into the compost bucket that you'll empty later into the Manor's composting system. Waste is minimized in a well-run household. Vegetable scraps become compost, meat bones become stock. Nothing usable is discarded. The kitchen clock shows 11:43 a.m. The turkey has been roasting for just over 4 hours, and the smell has intensified to the point where the entire kitchen wing smells like Thanksgiving. You check the oven temperature, still at 325 degrees, and resist the urge to open the door for a visual inspection. Opening the oven releases heat, extending cooking time. The turkey will be checked when the timeline indicates, not before. You prepare yourself another cup of coffee, the 4th of the day, which is 1 more than your usual 3, but holidays permit small deviations from routine. This cup you take to the small desk again, where you sit and review the afternoon's remaining tasks while sipping the dark, bitter liquid that has fueled your mornings for longer than you care to calculate. The next major task is gravy preparation, which requires the drippings from the roasting turkey. That will come later. For now, you have a brief window, perhaps 30 minutes before the next scheduled task. You use this time to sit quietly, resting your feet, allowing your body a moment of respite before the intensive final hours of preparation. Through the kitchen window, the day has fully arrived. November sunlight, pale and cool, illuminates the Manor's grounds. The trees are mostly bare now, their leaves gone except for the oaks, which hold their brown foliage late into winter. The fountain in the rose garden is not running. You shut it down 2 weeks ago to prevent freeze damage. The garden itself is in its autumn dormancy. The roses, pruned back, the perennial beds mulched against winter cold. It's a quiet scene, peaceful in its stillness. No gardeners work today. They're home with their families. No maintenance staff make their rounds. The Manor is yours alone. This solitude is not oppressive. It's simply the current state of things. You've never been someone who requires constant companionship. The work itself is company enough, the tasks providing structure and purpose to the hours. You finish your coffee, the rest period ends. The afternoon's preparations await, each one necessary, each one requiring the same attention you've given every task since rising before dawn. You stand, stretch carefully to prevent stiffness, and return to the stove where the next phase of Thanksgiving preparation will commence. The gravy base needs starting, the potatoes require attention, and in a few hours, the dinner rolls must be mixed and set to rise. The timeline marches forward with the inexorable logic of cooking schedules, and you march with it, the faithful servant of both tradition and excellence. Gravy is perhaps the most underestimated element of Thanksgiving dinner. It's often treated as an afterthought, made hastily from jarred stock and flour paste, served as an obligatory condiment rather than the glorious sauce it can be. This is a failure of technique and attention. Proper gravy is sublime, rich, savoury, complex, with the concentrated essence of roasted poultry and aromatics. It should coat the tongue, enhance every element it touches, and be worthy of being eaten with a spoon if one were so inclined. You begin gravy construction hours before it will be needed, building layers of flavour that will eventually combine into the finished sauce. The foundation has been simmering since early morning, the giblet stock made from the turkey's neck, heart and gizzard. You check this now, noting that the stock has reduced by about a third, concentrating its flavour. The neck bone has given up its collagen, the meat has become tender, and the liquid has taken on a deep, rich colour. You strain this stock through a fine mesh sieve into a clean container, pressing on the solids to extract maximum flavour. The neck meat is picked off the bone and reserved. It will be finely chopped and added back to the finished gravy for texture and substance. The heart and gizzard receive the same treatment. The spent bones and vegetables go into the compost bucket. The stock, about 3 cups of liquid gold, waits for its next transformation. The turkey itself has been roasting for 4.5 hours now, and it's time for the first temperature check. You retrieve your instant red thermometer, open the oven door quickly to minimise heat loss, and insert the probe deep into the thickest part of the thigh, angling it so it doesn't touch bone. The thermometer reads 157 degrees Fahrenheit. Close, but not quite there. The target is 165 degrees in the thigh. The breast will be lower, around 155, which is perfect since breast meat overcooks easily, while thigh meat is more forgiving. You withdraw the thermometer, close the oven door, and make a mental note to check again in 15 minutes. While the turkey continues its roast, you begin the roux that will form the base of your gravy. Into a heavy saucepan goes 4 tablespoons of butter over medium heat. Once melted and bubbling, you add an equal amount of flour, 4 tablespoons, and begin whisking immediately. This is the critical moment. The roux must cook long enough to eliminate the raw flour taste, but not so long that it browns significantly. You're making a blonde roux, cooked just until it smells nutty and the raw flour scent disappears. The whisking is constant, the motion hypnotic. The mixture bubbles and thickens, transforming from a loose paste to something smoother and more homogeneous. After about 3 minutes, you judge by scent and colour rather than clock. The roux reaches the proper state. You remove it from heat and let it cool slightly. Now comes the gradual incorporation of liquid. The giblet stock goes in first, added slowly while whisking constantly. The cold liquid hits the warm roux and immediately begins thickening, but the constant whisking prevents lumps from forming. You add stock in stages, a 1/4 cup, whisk until smooth, another 1/4 cup, whisk, continue until all the stock is incorporated. The mixture returns to the stove over medium heat. You continue whisking as it comes to a simmer, watching as the flour's thickening power activates fully. The gravy base bubbles gently, thickening to the consistency of thin cream. This is too thin for the final product, but it will reduce further, and the turkey drippings you'll add later will contribute additional body. You reduce heat to low and let the base simmer gently, stirring occasionally to prevent scorching. This gentle cooking allows any remaining raw flour taste to cook out completely, and it begins the concentration process that will intensify flavours. The chopped giblet meat goes in now, the small pieces distributing throughout the sauce. 15 minutes pass. Your internal timer is precise, as always. You check the turkey again, 163 degrees in the thigh, almost there. Another 15 minutes should do it. You use this time to prepare the garnishes and final flavour adjustments for the gravy. Fresh thyme leaves are picked from their stems and minced fine. A small handful of parsley, flat leaf, never curly, which is decorative but flavourless, is washed, dried and chopped. These herbs will go into the finished gravy, adding brightness and fresh flavour to balance the rich, savoury base. The next turkey check reveals 165 degrees in the thigh, 156 in the breast. Perfect. You remove the turkey from the oven, transfer it carefully to a cutting board equipped with a moat to catch escaping juices, and tent it loosely with foil. It will rest for at least 30 minutes before carving. This is not optional. Resting allows juices to redistribute through the meat, preventing them from hemorrhaging out when the turkey is carved. A rested bird stays moist. A carved immediately bird becomes dry as its juices run onto the cutting board. The roasting pan is still hot, filled with drippings, fond and the aromatics that were placed inside the turkey cavity. You carefully pour the liquid drippings through a fat separator into a measuring cup. There's about 2 cups of liquid, a combination of rendered turkey fat, water evaporated from the meat, and melted butter from the herb rub. The fat separator does its work, allowing the lighter fat to float to the top, while the flavourful juices settle at the bottom. You'll use some of the fat for richness, but not all. Too much fat makes gravy greasy. You pour the separated drippings into your gravy base, whisking as it incorporates. The gravy immediately takes on a deeper colour and richer aroma, the turkey essence combining with the giblet stock foundation. The roasting pan still holds treasure, the fond, the browned bits stuck to the bottom that concentrate flavour. You place the pan across 2 burners on medium heat and add a cup of dry white wine. As the wine heats, you scrape the bottom with a wooden spoon, dissolving the fond into the liquid. This is deglazing, a technique that captures flavours that would otherwise be lost. The wine reduces by half, its alcohol evaporating while its acidity and flavour remain. This deglazed liquid goes into the gravy, adding complexity and a subtle brightness that prevents the sauce from tasting flat or one-dimensional. The gravy simmers, reducing to the consistency you want. Thick enough to coat the back of a spoon, but still pourable, not gluey or pasty. Seasoning is the final adjustment. Salt is added carefully. The drippings were already seasoned, so you taste first, then add conservatively. Black pepper, freshly ground, adds gentle heat. The fresh herbs go in, their bright green specks visible against the mahogany gravy. A tiny splash of lemon juice, just a teaspoon, adds brightness without making the gravy taste citrusy. You taste. The gravy is rich, savoury, complex, with layers of flavour from the giblet stock, the turkey drippings, the deglazed fond, and the herbs. It tastes like Thanksgiving, like comfort, like the reward for hours of careful work. The finished gravy is poured into a heated gravy boat. You warmed it with hot water while the gravy finished cooking, and set aside, kept warm on a heating tray set to low. It will wait there, perfect and ready, until the moment you sit down to dinner. The turkey rests on its cutting board, filling the kitchen with its magnificent aroma. The gravy waits in its boat. The stuffing sits in its covered dish, ready for the oven. The vegetables are prepped on their sheet pans. The coordination of all these elements into a simultaneous finish is the next challenge, but you've orchestrated countless such coordinations. This is what you do. This is what you've always done. The afternoon continues its progression toward evening, toward the meal that represents both an ending and a continuation, both solitude and connection to tradition. You check the timeline again, confirm the next tasks, and move forward with the same steady competence that has defined your career. Excellence is not achieved through bursts of inspiration, but through consistent application of proper technique. Today is no different, regardless of the empty house around you. There are many ways to prepare potatoes for Thanksgiving dinner. They can be roasted, baked, scalloped, or transformed into the dozens of regional variations that exist across American cooking. But at Wayne Manor, Thanksgiving means mashed potatoes, not just any mashed potatoes, but the classic preparation that achieves the perfect balance between creamy and textured, rich but not heavy, substantial enough to support gravy, but delicate enough to qualify as refined cooking. You selected russet potatoes for this purpose, 4 large ones, each about a pound. Russets are high in starch and low in moisture, which means they break down into a fluffy texture when cooked and mashed, rather than becoming gluey like waxy potatoes would. The science of potato selection is not complicated, but it matters. The potatoes wait on the counter, still in their earth-brown skins. You begin by scrubbing each one under cold running water with a vegetable brush, removing any clinging dirt. Even though you'll peel these potatoes, starting with clean specimens is proper practice. Dirt on the exterior can transfer to the flesh during peeling, and while cooking will kill any microorganisms, gritty potatoes are unpleasant. Once scrubbed and dried, you begin peeling with the same vegetable peeler used earlier for carrots. Long, even strokes remove the skin in thin strips that fall into the compost bucket. You work around each potato systematically, rotating it in your hand until all the brown skin is gone and only the pale flesh remains. Any eyes or blemishes are cut out with a paring knife. These are imperfections that would mar the final texture. Each peeled potato is cut into quarters. Smaller pieces cook faster and more evenly than whole potatoes. The quarters go into a large pot as you cut them, and once all 4 potatoes are cut, you fill the pot with cold water to cover them by about 2 inches. This prevents oxidation. Potatoes exposed to air turn brown, which doesn't affect flavour but looks unappetizing. Salt goes into the water, about a tablespoon. You salt the cooking water generously, because this is your opportunity to season the potatoes from within. Undersalted cooking water means undersalted potatoes, which then require so much surface salt that the seasoning is uneven. The pot goes onto the stove over high heat, uncovered, and you set your mental timer for the approximate 20 minutes it will take to bring the water to a boil and then cook the potatoes until tender. While the potatoes heat, you prepare the dairy components. Into a small saucepan goes 1 cup of heavy cream and 4 tablespoons of butter cut into pieces. This seems like an excessive amount of fat, and by contemporary dietary standards it is. But Thanksgiving is not about restriction, it's about tradition and indulgence in moderation, which is to say, indulgence on one specific day per year. The cream and butter warm over low heat. You don't want to boil them, just heat them enough that they won't cool down the potatoes when incorporated. Hot ingredients mix into hot potatoes more easily than cold ones, and the goal is a smooth, homogeneous mixture. The potato water reaches a boil, the bubbles breaking the surface with increasing vigour. You reduce heat to maintain a steady, but not violent boil. Potatoes can break apart if agitated too roughly, and let them cook. Testing for doneness is straightforward. You pierce a potato piece with a paring knife, and if the knife slides in easily, with no resistance, the potato is done. This takes about 15 minutes from when the water reached a full boil. You drain the potatoes in a colander set in the sink, letting the water run off completely. Steam rises in clouds, briefly fogging your glasses. The potatoes sit in the colander for a moment, allowing surface moisture to evaporate. Excess water makes the potatoes thin and loose, rather than creamy and thick. The drained potatoes go back into their pot, which you've dried quickly with a towel. You place the pot back on the burner, now turned off but still warm, and begin mashing. The tool is a traditional potato masher, not a ricer or food mill. A ricer produces potatoes that are too smooth, almost gummy, losing the slight texture that good mashed potatoes should retain. A masher preserves some structure while breaking down the majority of the potato cells. You mash systematically, pressing the masher down and twisting, moving around the pot to ensure every piece is processed. The potatoes break down into a rough mash, not yet smooth, but no longer in chunks. This takes several minutes of steady work, your arm and shoulder engaging in the repetitive pressing motion. Once the potatoes are roughly mashed, you begin incorporating the hot cream and butter mixture. You add it in stages, stirring with a wooden spoon after each addition, allowing the liquid to be absorbed before adding more. The potatoes transform gradually from a rough mash to a smooth, creamy mixture that holds soft peaks when you lift the spoon. Seasoning is the final adjustment. Salt is added by the pinch, tasting after each addition until the flavour is right. Potatoes require more salt than you think, their bland starchiness needing aggressive seasoning to come alive. White pepper goes in rather than black. You want the heat, but not the visible specks that would mar the creamy whiteness. A pinch of garlic powder adds subtle depth without the chunks of actual garlic that would disrupt the smooth texture. You taste one more time. The potatoes are perfect, creamy but not gluey, rich but not heavy, well seasoned but not oversalted. They hold their shape when spooned but aren't stiff. This is exactly what mashed potatoes should be. The potatoes go into a serving bowl, a beautiful piece of china that matches the Wayne Manor formal service. White with a subtle gold rim, elegant without being ostentatious. You smooth the top with the back of a spoon, creating gentle swirls, then place a pat of butter in the centre that will melt into a golden pool. The bowl is covered with foil to retain heat and set on the warming tray next to the gravy boat. The kitchen is warm now from multiple heat sources. The ovens, the stovetop, the general accumulation of cooking warmth that builds in any kitchen where serious work is underway. You've been cooking for over 6 hours, and the strain of sustained attention is beginning to make itself felt in your shoulders and lower back. But there's no time for rest yet. The timeline continues. The coordination of finishing times approaches, and several dishes still require final preparation. You stretch carefully, rolling your shoulders, flexing your fingers. Physical maintenance is part of the job, especially at your age. You pour yourself a glass of water. You've been drinking coffee all day but neglecting hydration, and drink it while standing at the sink, looking out at the manor grounds, where long shadows stretch across the lawn as afternoon tips toward evening. The next task is green beans, a relatively simple preparation, but one that still requires attention. After that, the dinner rolls, which involve yeast and rising time, and the particular satisfaction of baking bread. And then the final coordination, getting everything hot and ready at the same moment, plating a beautiful dinner for one, and sitting down to eat the meal you've spent the entire day preparing. The work continues. It always continues. This is the nature of service, the rhythm of a life spent in pursuit of excellence in small things. You drain your water glass, set it to dry, and turn back to the counter where the next ingredient awaits your attention. Green beans at Thanksgiving are often an afterthought, a vegetable obligation, grudgingly fulfilled. This is a failure of imagination. Properly prepared green beans are not merely acceptable, they're a bright, fresh counterpoint to the meal's richer elements, a textural contrast to soft stuffing and creamy potatoes, a reminder that vegetables can be delicious rather than merely nutritious. The green beans you purchased from the farmer's market 2 days ago are fresh, thin, and tender, haricots verts rather than the thicker Kentucky wonders that are more common but less refined. They're French beans, essentially, delicate and sweet when cooked properly. 2 pounds of them sit in the colander, where you washed them earlier. They're deep, green colour vibrant in the kitchen light. You begin by trimming them, a task that is tedious but necessary. Each bean must have its stem end removed. The tip end can stay, as it's tender. And while there are kitchen tools designed to speed this process, you find that hands are fastest and most reliable. You work through the pile systematically. Pick up a bean, snap off the stem end, drop the trimmed bean into a bowl, repeat. The motion becomes automatic, your hands working independently while your mind wanders to other considerations. The pile diminishes slowly. This is not exciting work, but it is necessary work, and there's a meditative quality to repetitive tasks performed without pressure. The snap of each bean breaking is satisfying in a small way, each one a tiny completion. After 20 minutes, all 2 pounds are trimmed and ready. The cooking method is simple. Blanching followed by a quick sauté. Blanching in boiling water cooks the beans through while maintaining their bright colour. The subsequent shocking in ice water stops the cooking immediately, preventing the beans from becoming drab and overcooked. This preparation can be done ahead. You'll do it now, then finish the dish just before serving by sautéing with shallots and almonds. You fill a large pot with water, salt it generously, the same principle as with potato water, and set it over high heat. While the water heats, you prepare an ice bath, a large bowl filled with ice cubes and cold water, waiting to receive the blanched beans. The water reaches a rolling boil. You add the beans all at once. They immediately cease boiling, but the pot returns to a boil within a minute. You set your mental timer for 3 minutes, the approximate time needed for beans this thin to cook through, while maintaining a slight snap. While the beans cook, you prepare the finishing ingredients. 2 large shallots are peeled and sliced thin. Shallots are milder than onions, sweeter, with a delicate flavour that won't overwhelm the beans. Half a cup of sliced almonds will be toasted in butter until golden, adding crunch and nutty flavour. Fresh lemon zest, grated from 1 lemon, will provide brightness at the end. 3 minutes pass. You test a bean by pulling one out with tongs and biting into it. The texture is perfect, cooked through but still with enough structure to offer resistance to teeth. You immediately dump the entire pot into a colander in the sink. Then plunge the beans into the ice bath, stirring to ensure every bean makes contact with the cold water. The beans chill quickly, their cooking arrested, their colour transformed from dull to brilliant green. After 2 minutes in the ice bath, you drain them thoroughly, then spread them on a clean kitchen towel to dry. Excess water will cause spattering when you sauté them later, so thorough drying is important. The blanched beans go into a container, covered and refrigerated until you're ready for the final preparation. They'll wait. They're perfectly cooked and ready, needing only a quick sauté to be finished and served. You clean up the blanching operation. Pot washed, colander rinsed, ice bath emptied. The kitchen is tidied between each task. This is non-negotiable. Cooking chaos emerges from allowing messes to accumulate. Cooking order emerges from constant cleaning, constant resetting to neutral, so that each new task begins from a clean workspace. The kitchen clock shows 3:47 p.m. The timeline indicates that the dinner rolls should be started now. They need about 2 hours from mixing to being ready to bake, and you'll want to bake them in the final 30 minutes before dinner, so they arrive at the table warm and fragrant. But first, you allow yourself another moment of rest. You sit at the small desk, reviewing what's been accomplished and what remains. The major proteins and starches are done. Turkey rested and ready to carve, gravy finished, stuffing awaiting its final bake, potatoes mashed and keeping warm, vegetables prepped and ready for roasting. What remains are the finishing touches, the rolls, the final sauté of green beans, the coordination of reheating and serving that will bring everything together. You're tired. This is a long day of sustained physical work and mental attention, and at 67, such days take their toll. Your feet ache slightly, despite the supportive shoes you always wear for kitchen work. Your shoulders are tight from hours of stirring and whisking and mashing. Your eyes are strained from close work in bright kitchen light. But the fatigue is not unpleasant. It's the fatigue of work done well, of tasks completed to proper standards, of a day spent in productive pursuit of a specific goal. You've felt this particular weariness thousands of times over your career, and it's always accompanied by satisfaction. The work is hard, but the work is also meaningful, at least to you. You stand, stretch once more, and approach the counter where the ingredients for dinner rolls await your attention. The final push toward dinner begins now, and despite your fatigue, you find yourself looking forward to it, to the satisfaction of seeing everything come together, of sitting down finally to eat what you've spent the entire day preparing. of maintaining this small tradition in this empty house. The work continues. It always continues. This is what you chose, what you've dedicated your life to, and even now, even alone, you wouldn't choose differently. Bread making is often described as an art, which is both true and misleading. Yes, there's artistry in shaping beautiful loaves, in achieving perfect crusts and airy crumbs, but bread making is fundamentally a science, a series of chemical and biological processes that proceed according to fixed laws. Understand the science, apply proper technique, and good bread follows with reliable consistency. This is comforting knowledge for someone who values predictability and standards. The dinner rolls. You'll follow a classic American dinner roll recipe, enriched dough with eggs, butter and milk, yielding soft rolls with a tender crumb and golden crust. They're not challenging to make, but they require time. Time for the yeast to activate, time for the dough to develop gluten, time for rises to occur. You cannot rush bread, only prepare it and then wait with patience. You begin by activating the yeast. Into a small bowl goes 1/4 cup of warm water. Not hot, which would kill the yeast, not cold, which would leave it dormant, but warm, around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't need a thermometer for this. You can judge temperature by touch. The water should feel slightly warmer than body temperature, but not uncomfortably hot. 2¼ teaspoons of active dry yeast, 1 standard packet, go into the warm water, followed by a teaspoon of granulated sugar. The sugar feeds the yeast, helping it wake up and begin reproducing. You stir briefly to dissolve the yeast, then let the mixture sit. Within 5 minutes, it should foam and bubble, visual proof that the yeast is alive and ready to do its work of converting sugar into carbon dioxide and alcohol, the process that makes bread rise. While the yeast activates, you prepare the other ingredients. 3/4 cup of whole milk is warmed to lukewarm. Not hot, not cold, just gently warm. 4 tablespoons of butter melt in the milk, the two liquids combining into a creamy mixture. An egg is cracked into a large mixing bowl and beaten lightly. 2 tablespoons of sugar join the egg, along with a teaspoon of salt. The yeast mixture is now foamy and fragrant, smelling of beer and baking, the characteristic scent of active yeast. You pour it into the mixing bowl with the egg mixture. Then add the warm milk and melted butter. A wooden spoon stirs everything together. You could use an electric mixer, but for a small batch like this, hands and simple tools are sufficient. Now comes the flour. All-purpose flour is standard for dinner rolls. Bread flour would make them too chewy, cake flour too delicate. You add flour 1 cup at a time, stirring after each addition, watching as the mixture transforms from liquid to shaggy dough. The recipe calls for approximately 3½ cups of flour, but flour is variable. Humidity, how it was measured, the specific brand all affect how much is needed. You add flour until the dough comes together and pulls away from the sides of the bowl, which happens at just over 3¼ cups. The dough is turned out onto a lightly floured counter for kneading. Kneading develops the gluten strands that give bread its structure, transforming loose dough into smooth, elastic dough that can trap the carbon dioxide produced by yeast. The technique is simple. Push the dough away from you with the heels of your hands, fold it back over itself, rotate a 1/4 turn, repeat. You knead for 8 minutes by the kitchen clock, maintaining a steady and rhythm. The dough gradually transforms under your hands, becoming smoother, more cohesive, less sticky. By the 8-minute mark, it's satiny and elastic, no longer sticking to your hands or the counter, holding together in a smooth ball. The dough goes into a large bowl that you've greased with butter. You turn the dough to coat all sides with the butter. This prevents a crust from forming during rising. Then cover the bowl with a clean kitchen towel. The bowl is placed in a warm spot, the counter near the stove, where the ambient heat from cooking will encourage the yeast to work efficiently. Now comes the first wait. The dough needs to rise until doubled in size, which will take about an hour in the warm kitchen. You cannot rush this. The yeast will work at its own pace, slowly producing the gas that inflates the dough, developing flavour as it works. You can only prepare properly and then wait. You use this hour for other tasks. The kitchen needs attention. Counters need wiping, dishes need washing, equipment needs organising for the final push toward dinner. You work methodically, restoring order to the productive chaos of a day spent cooking. The stuffing goes into the oven at 350 degrees, its foil cover left on for the first 30 minutes. The root vegetables follow on their sheet pans, placed on the oven's lower rack beneath the stuffing. You set mental timers for both. Stuffing needs 45 minutes total, vegetables about 40 minutes, but you'll check them at the 30-minute mark. The turkey, which has been resting for nearly 90 minutes, is ready for carving. But you'll wait to carve it until just before serving. Carved meat dries out faster than intact meat, and timing is everything in the final coordination. You return to the dough, which has swelled impressively, doubling in size exactly as it should. The kitchen towel is removed, and you punch down the dough. Literally, you punch your fist into its puffy centre, deflating it with a satisfying whoosh. This isn't violence, it's necessary. Punching down redistributes the yeast and deflates large air pockets, creating a finer crumb in the finished rolls. The dough is turned out onto a lightly floured counter and divided into 12 equal pieces. You do this by first dividing it in half, then dividing each half into thirds, then dividing each third in half, a systematic approach that yields uniformly sized pieces. Each piece is shaped into a ball by pulling the edges down and under, creating surface tension that helps the rolls hold their shape as they bake. The rolls are arranged in a buttered 9 by 13 inch baking pan, placed close together but not quite touching. As they rise and bake, they'll expand and eventually touch, supporting each other and creating the soft sides that characterize pull-apart dinner rolls. The pan is covered with the kitchen towel again for the second rise, which will take about 30 minutes. The rolls need to puff up once more, nearly doubling again before they're ready to bake. You place the pan in the same warm spot near the stove and set your mental timer. The second rise is shorter than the first. You use this time to check the oven's contents. The stuffing is starting to bubble at the edges, steaming under its foil cover. The vegetables are beginning to caramelize, their edges browning. You brush the maple glaze over the vegetables, watching as the sticky liquid coats them with shine. The pan goes back into the oven for the remaining time. 30 minutes pass. The rolls have puffed up beautifully, nearly doubled, touching their neighbours, ready for the oven. You brush them with melted butter. This will create a golden crust and add flavour. Then slide the pan into the 350-degree oven alongside the stuffing and vegetables. Everything is in the oven now except the turkey and the green beans, which will be finished at the last minute. The coordination is coming together exactly as planned. Stuffing, vegetables, and rolls will all finish within 10 minutes of each other. The turkey will be carved during those final minutes. The green beans will be sautéed as everything else plates. You stand at the stove, monitoring, adjusting, checking. The kitchen is filled with the overlapping aromas of Thanksgiving. Roasted turkey and bread baking, sweet maple glaze and savoury stuffing, herbs and butter and caramelized aromatics. It smells like holiday, like tradition, like care expressed through food. The work of the day is nearly done. Soon you'll sit down to eat what you've prepared, and the long hours of standing and stirring and checking will culminate in the simple act of a meal consumed. But first, these final minutes of attention, these last tasks that transform prepared ingredients into completed dinner. You check the rolls through the oven window. They're puffing up nicely, starting to brown. The vegetables on their lower rack are deeply caramelized, the maple glaze creating a lacquered finish. The stuffing has formed a golden crust where you removed the foil 15 minutes ago. Everything is proceeding as it should, which is to say, exactly as you planned. This is the satisfaction of experience, the ability to predict outcomes, to manage multiple elements simultaneously, to orchestrate complexity into harmonious completion. The kitchen clock shows 5:43 p.m. In 17 minutes, you'll sit down to Thanksgiving dinner, prepared by one person, for one person, in an empty house. But the emptiness doesn't diminish the effort or the result. Standards are not situational. Excellence is not dependent on audience. You've done this job for 43 years, and you'll continue to do it for as long as you're able, maintaining traditions and upholding standards in service to a family that is often absent but never forgotten. This is what you do. This is who you are. And today, like every day, you've done it properly. The last 15 minutes before serving a complex meal are where years of experience reveal their value. Multiple dishes must finish cooking simultaneously, each one requiring different attention, each one needing to be perfect at the exact same moment. This is not the time for distraction or inefficiency. This is when preparation and planning transform into execution. The oven timer is not set. You use your internal clock, developed through decades of cooking, which is more reliable than any mechanical device. You know, without checking, that the rolls have been baking for 23 minutes and will need 2 more before they're done. You know the vegetables have been roasting for 38 minutes and are probably perfect now. You know the stuffing has been baking for 43 minutes and needs to come out. You remove the stuffing first using oven mitts that are thick and heat resistant, purchased from a restaurant supply house specifically because they provide superior protection. The stuffing is perfect, golden crust, bubbling edges, the aroma of sage and sausage and bread mixing into the kitchen's complex smellscape. It goes onto a trivet on the counter, still in its baking dish keeping warm. The vegetables come next, both sheet pans removed in one trip because you're practiced at balancing multiple hot items safely. The root vegetables are beautifully caramelized, the maple glaze creating a glossy coating, the edges deeply browned. They're transferred to a large serving platter, arranged without fuss but with an eye toward color distribution. Orange carrots, white parsnips, purple red onions, the natural palette of autumn vegetables. The rolls are checked. 2 more minutes, you confirm by visual inspection. The tops are golden brown, the sides where they touch each other are puffy and pale. They smell like yeast and butter and comfort. You brush them with more melted butter while they're still in the oven, adding 1 more layer of richness, then close the door for the final 2 minutes. Now the turkey. The carved turkey is the centerpiece of Thanksgiving dinner, and carving must be done properly to yield neat slices that showcase your cooking. You remove the foil tent from the bird, which has been resting for nearly 2.5 hours, far longer than necessary, but the extended rest hasn't hurt anything. The turkey is cool enough to handle safely, but still holds residual warmth. You begin by removing the legs and thighs, cutting through the joints with decisive knife strokes that find the natural separations. Each leg-thigh portion is separated at the joint. Then the thigh meat is removed from the bone in large intact pieces. The drumsticks remain whole. They're more dramatic that way. The breast meat comes next. You run your knife along one side of the breastbone, following the natural contour, your blade separating meat from bone with smooth, practiced strokes. The entire breast half comes away in one piece, a substantial portion of tender white meat. The other side receives the same treatment. Each breast half is placed skin side up on your cutting board and sliced against the grain into 1/4-inch slices. The knife is sharp. You maintain your knives fastidiously, sharpening them weakly, so the slices are clean and even, not raggedly torn. The sliced breast meat is arranged on a large serving platter, the slices slightly overlapping, creating an attractive presentation, even though there's no one to see it but yourself. The thigh meat is sliced similarly, its darker flesh arranged on the platter separate from the breast. The wings and drumsticks are placed at the edges, completing the presentation. Some of the pan drippings, the ones that accumulated on the carving board, are spooned over the meat, keeping it moist, adding shine. The rolls emerge from the oven at exactly the right moment, their tops deeply golden their sides soft and pillowy. They're brushed with more butter while still hot, the butter melting on contact, soaking into the crust. The rolls are transferred to a cloth-lined basket, the cloth folded over them to keep them warm. One dish remains, the green beans. You heat a large skillet over medium-high heat, add 2 tablespoons of butter, and wait for it to melt and begin to foam. The sliced shallots go in first, stirred constantly as they soften and begin to brown. The sliced almonds follow, toasted in the butter until fragrant and lightly golden. The blanched green beans are added all at once. They're still cold from the refrigerator, so they sizzle loudly as they hit the hot pan, but they warm quickly, tossed with the shallots and almonds, absorbing the butter, becoming glossy and bright. 2 minutes of tossing is sufficient. The beans are already cooked through, so this is just a final heating and combining. Salt, pepper, and the lemon zest go in at the very end. A final toss and the green beans are transferred to a serving dish, the shallots and almonds distributed evenly throughout. Every dish is now complete and ready. You stand in the kitchen, surrounded by the results of 10 hours of work. Roasted turkey, carved and plated, turkey gravy, rich and smooth, sage and sausage stuffing, crispy topped and fragrant, garlic mashed potatoes, creamy and buttery, maple glazed root vegetables, caramelized and sweet, green beans with shallots and almonds, bright and crunchy, fresh baked dinner rolls, golden and soft, cranberry sauce, made yesterday, waiting in the refrigerator, pumpkin pie with whipped cream, also made yesterday. It's 5:57 p.m, 3 minutes ahead of schedule, which is preferable to being behind. You remove your apron, you've been wearing it all day, and it shows evidence of the work. Flour smudges, a splash of gravy, the general wear of intensive cooking. Underneath, your suit is immaculate, protected by the apron as it was intended. The kitchen is clean, except for the immediate serving dishes. This is how you work, clean as you go, maintaining order throughout. The process so that the end result is not chaos but controlled completion. The sink is empty, the counters are wiped, the tools are put away, only the serving dishes remain, and those will be dealt with after dinner. You wash your hands one final time, dry them on a clean towel, and regard the small feast you've prepared. In a house full of family, this would be the moment of pride, of satisfaction at seeing appreciation for your work. In an empty house, the satisfaction is different, but no less real. You've maintained a standard, honoured a tradition, performed work with excellence despite the absence of an audience. This is enough. It has to be enough, because this is what you have. Now comes the part that is perhaps the strangest, carrying all this food to the dining room and setting a table for one. The formal dining room at Wayne Manor is a space designed for gatherings, for the display of hospitality and the demonstration of gracious living. The table can seat 18 when fully extended, and the room itself is grand in the way that rooms in houses like this are grand. High ceilings, crown moulding, crystal chandeliers, walls panelled in walnut that has been oiled and maintained for a century. Tonight, the table is not extended. It remains in its smallest configuration, and even then, it can seat 10. You'll use only one of those 10 settings. You've chosen to set your place at the table's head, where Master Bruce normally sits when the family gathers. This is not presumption. You're not pretending to be the master of the house. It's simply the most logical position, facing the doorway with easy access to the kitchen, positioned to see the whole room. Practicality drives the decision, nothing more. The tablecloth is linen, cream-coloured, pressed to crispness with no wrinkles. You spread it over the table with practiced snaps of your wrists, the fabric settling into place perfectly. Table linens are always perfectly pressed at Wayne Manor. You see to it personally, using the pressing room's commercial iron and pressing board, taking the time to do it properly. The place setting follows formal dining standards, the arrangement you've set thousands of times for thousands of meals. You begin with the charger plate, the large decorative plate that serves as a base. This one is china, cream with a platinum rim. part of a set that's been in the Wayne family for 3 generations. The dinner plate goes on top of the charger, smaller, but matching. The salad plate will go on top of that when you serve. To the left of the plates, the forks, salad fork on the outside, dinner fork on the inside. To the right, the knives and spoons. Dinner knife closest to the plate with its blade facing in, then a spoon for stuffing, then a smaller knife for butter. The bread plate goes above the forks, to the left, with its small butter knife laid across it diagonally. Glasses are positioned above the knives, water goblet closest, wine glass slightly behind, and to the right, you've selected a Bordeaux glass for the red wine you'll drink with dinner, a bottle from the Manor's cellar, chosen not for expense but for appropriateness. Thanksgiving demands red wine, and you've chosen a 10-year-old Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley, a wine that Master Bruce purchased in quantity and would not begrudge you a single bottle from. The napkin is linen like the tablecloth, folded into a simple rectangle and placed on the charger plate. You don't do fancy napkin folds. They're decorative but impractical, and they require handling the napkin excessively, which is unhygienic. The place setting is complete, a single island of formal dining preparation in a large empty room. You step back and examine it with the critical eye of a professional. Everything is positioned correctly. The knives face the right direction, the forks are aligned, the glasses are placed at the proper angles. If you were setting the table for 18, each place would look exactly like this, identical in every detail, because consistency is the mark of proper service. You return to the kitchen and begin carrying in the serving dishes. The turkey platter comes first, placed in the centre of the table where it can serve as the focal point. The stuffing in its baking dish, the mashed potatoes in their serving bowl, the gravy boat with its matching saucer, the vegetables on their platter, the green beans in their dish, the basket of rolls, the cranberry sauce in its small bowl. Each item is carried individually, placed on the table with attention to arrangement and accessibility. The dining room table, which could hold food for 18, now holds food for 1. The visual effect is almost comical, a tiny place setting at one end, surrounded by enough food to feed a family, all of it prepared with the same care you would use for a full house. But you don't find it sad exactly, just notable. A reminder of how things have changed, how the Manor's population has diminished, how traditions persist even when their original context has faded. You light the candles in the candelabra that serves as the table's centerpiece, 4 tall white tapers positioned symmetrically, their flames steady in the still air of the dining room. The candles are not necessary. The chandelier provides ample light, but Thanksgiving dinner at Wayne Manor is served by candlelight, and you see no reason to abandon that tradition simply because you're dining alone. The wine bottle is opened with proper technique, foil removed cleanly, cork extracted with a waiter's corkscrew, the bottle wiped clean of any debris. You pour a small amount into the glass and taste it, not because you're checking for cork taint, but because the ritual of tasting demands it. The wine is excellent, full-bodied with flavours of dark fruit and subtle oak, properly aged, and at the right temperature from the cellar. Everything is ready. The food is hot, the table is set, the candles are lit, the wine is poured. It's 6:08 p.m, slightly later than the planned 6:12 p.m. service time, but close enough that the delay is meaningless. You stand in the dining room, still wearing your suit, and allow yourself a moment to appreciate what you've accomplished. From pre-dawn preparation to this moment, you've orchestrated a traditional Thanksgiving dinner with excellence and precision. The fact that no one witnessed the work doesn't diminish the achievement. The fact that you're the only one who will eat this meal doesn't reduce its quality. You've done what you set out to do. The work is complete. The meal is ready. Now comes the part that is, in some ways, the strangest. Sitting down at this formal table, in this grand room, in this empty house, and eating alone the meal you've spent all day preparing. You pull out the chair at the head of the table, the chair that is always Master Bruce's when he's here, and you sit. The chair is comfortable, well cushioned, positioned at the perfect height for the table. Before you spreads enough food for a family gathering, all of it prepared for yourself alone. You place the napkin in your lap, a gesture so automatic after decades of formal service that you don't even think about it. You reach for the mashed potatoes and begin serving yourself, spooning a generous portion onto your dinner plate. The stuffing follows, then the turkey, both white and dark meat, then the vegetables, the green beans, the cranberry sauce. The rolls wait in their basket, still warm, ready to be broken open and buttered. Your plate is full, properly arranged, each element positioned so as not to mix prematurely with its neighbours. The gravy boat is lifted, and you ladle the rich, savoury sauce over your turkey and stuffing, watching as it pools and spreads. You set down the gravy boat, pick up your fork and knife, and prepare to take the first bite of the meal you've spent Thanksgiving Day preparing in solitude. The first bite is turkey, white meat from the breast, coated with gravy. You cut a piece with your knife. The meat is so tender it offers minimal resistance, and bring it to your mouth. The flavours are exactly what you worked all day to achieve. The turkey is moist, seasoned properly through to its centre from the herb butter rubbed under the skin. The gravy is rich and complex, with layers of flavour from the giblet stock, the pan drippings, the deglazed fond, the fresh herbs added at the end. It's good. It's very good, actually. This is not false modesty or surprise. You knew it would be good because you prepared it correctly, but there's still satisfaction in the confirmation that theory has translated to practice, that the techniques applied have produced the results intended. You eat slowly, methodically, tasting each element individually before combining them. The stuffing is moist without being soggy, with the proper balance of bread, sausage, and aromatics. The herbs come through clearly, sage and thyme and rosemary, the traditional flavours of Thanksgiving. The crispy top provides textural contrast to the soft interior. The mashed potatoes are creamy and smooth, rich from butter and cream, properly seasoned. They serve as a vehicle for gravy, absorbing the sauce and becoming even more flavourful. The combination of turkey, stuffing, potatoes, and gravy is perhaps the quintessential Thanksgiving mouthful. All the elements working together, each one enhancing the others. The root vegetables are sweet and caramelised, the maple glaze adding another layer of flavour without making them cloying. The natural sugars in the carrots, parsnips, and sweet potatoes have concentrated during roasting, intensified by the glaze, creating a dish that balances the savoury elements on the plate. The green beans provide freshness and crunch, a necessary counterpoint to the richer components. The shallots add subtle sweetness. The almonds contribute textural interest, and the lemon zest brightens everything. They're the one element on the plate that tastes fresh rather than slow cooked. And this variety is important in a meal where many dishes are rich and heavy. You reach for a dinner roll, still warm from the oven. It tears open easily, steam escaping from its soft interior. Butter melts on contact with the hot bread. The roll is perfect, tender crumb, slight chew from the gluten development, the flavour of yeast and butter and salt combining into something greater than the sum of its parts. The wine is sipped between bites, its tannins cutting through the richness of the butter and gravy, its fruit flavours complementing the meal without competing with it. Wine and food pairing is not mysterious, it's simply a matter of matching intensity and finding complementary flavours. This Cabernet Sauvignon does both, and the meal is better for its inclusion. You eat in silence. There's no music playing, no conversation, no ambient noise except the small sounds of dining. Fork against plate, the clink of glass being set down, your own breathing. The dining room is quiet around you, the candles burning steadily, their flames barely moving in the still air. The silence is not uncomfortable. You've lived most of your adult life in some form of solitude, even when the manor was full of family You are staff separate, occupying a different social space. You've never minded your own company. You've never required external stimulation to feel content. But there is, you acknowledge, something notable about this particular solitude. This is Thanksgiving, a holiday explicitly about gathering, about family and gratitude and communal eating. To observe it alone is not wrong exactly, but it is outside the holiday's intended framework. You are engaged in a tradition designed for groups while being a group of one. You think about previous Thanksgivings, the years when the dining table was full, Master Bruce at the head, you serving from the sideboard, the various members of the extended Batman family occupying chairs around the table, Dick and Barbara arguing about something trivial, Tim absorbed in his phone until Master Bruce confiscated it, Damien sitting rigidly, uncomfortable with casual family dynamics, Jason, in the years he attended, watchful and sarcastic, but present, the conversation flowing around the table, the laughter, the occasional argument, the sense of being part of something larger than yourself, even as you remained separate by role and choice. Those Thanksgivings required more work. Preparing food for 10 or 12 is significantly more demanding than preparing for one. But they also had a different quality of satisfaction. The work was witnessed, the food was appreciated, the effort was acknowledged, if not fully understood. There was purpose beyond personal satisfaction in those preparations. This year, there is only you, and tomorrow there will be only you eating leftovers. And the day after that, more leftovers. The turkey will last a week, the stuffing and potatoes will be frozen in portions. You'll eat well through the end of November, sustained by this single day of preparation. You're not unhappy about this state of affairs. This is simply what is. The family is scattered, each member pursuing their own version of service and duty. Master Bruce protects Gotham, and that cannot be scheduled around holidays. The others have built their own lives, found their own ways. This is natural, even healthy. You don't begrudge them their choices. But neither can you deny that eating Thanksgiving dinner alone, at a table set for one in a dining room designed for gatherings, in a house that echoes with emptiness, has a quality of melancholy to it. Not overwhelming, not devastating, just present. A gentle sadness that underlies the satisfaction of work well done. You finish your first serving and consider seconds. The food is excellent and there's more than enough. You're not particularly hungry anymore. You've eaten a full plate of rich food, but the tradition of Thanksgiving includes excess, includes eating past hunger into pleasant fullness. And besides, why prepare all this food if not to eat it? You serve yourself smaller portions of everything for round 2. More turkey, more stuffing, more of everything, but in amounts that acknowledge your stomach's limits rather than your appetite's enthusiasm. The second plate is consumed more slowly than the first, each bite savoured rather than analysed. The wine glass empties and is refilled, just half a glass this time. You're not trying to get drunk, just to maintain the pleasant relaxation that good wine produces. The candles burn down slowly, their flame steady, creating gentle shadows that flicker across the walls. Time passes in the quiet dining room. You eat, you drink, you sit in silence with your thoughts and your food and the empty chairs around you. Eventually, you push your plate away, full enough that another bite seems impossible. The cranberry sauce was barely touched. You're not particularly fond of cranberry sauce, truth be told, but Thanksgiving demands it, so you prepared it and served it and took a polite spoonful. Dessert will come later, after digestion has progressed, after you've cleaned the kitchen and dealt with the aftermath of the day's cooking. For now, you sit at the table, wine glass in hand, looking at the remains of the meal you've prepared and consumed alone. This is Thanksgiving at Wayne Manor in the year Master Bruce is elsewhere. This is what tradition looks like when observed in solitude. This is the result of 10 hours of work, and it was worth it for the quality of the food, worth it for the maintenance of standards, worth it because the alternative is to let tradition lapse, to acknowledge defeat, to admit that ceremony requires audience. You refuse to admit this. If you're the last person at Wayne Manor on Thanksgiving, then you'll prepare Thanksgiving dinner for one. If no one witnesses the work is still done properly. This is who you are, and this is what you do, and the circumstances don't change the fundamental commitment to excellence. You finish your wine. The glass is set down with care, precisely positioned relative to your place setting. The napkin is lifted from your lap, dabbed at your lips, and placed neatly on the table beside your plate. Dinner is finished. The meal is consumed. The tradition is observed. Now comes cleanup, the necessary aftermath of cooking, the restoration of order to the kitchen and dining room that will prepare everything for tomorrow's resumption of normal operations. You stand collecting your plate and utensils, preparing to return to the kitchen and begin the final task of this long Thanksgiving day. The work continues, even now, even after the meal is eaten. This is the nature of service. It's never truly finished, only paused between tasks. You carry your dishes to the kitchen and begin. The kitchen, which was clean before dinner, remains reasonably tidy. You serve yourself rather than having multiple people touching serving spoons. So the disorder is minimal. Still, there are dishes to wash, food to store, surfaces to wipe, and the restoration of complete order before you can retire for the evening. You begin by clearing the dining room table, making multiple trips between kitchen and dining room to transport all the serving dishes. The turkey platter, the stuffing dish, the bowls and platters and baskets, all of them return to the kitchen counter, where you'll assess what can be refrigerated immediately and what needs to cool further first. The leftovers are substantial, as expected. More than half the turkey remains, all the light and dark meat separated and arranged on the platter. The stuffing has been barely touched. You ate perhaps a quarter of what you prepared. The mashed potatoes, the vegetables, the green beans, all of them have enough remaining to constitute several more. Meals. You begin the storage process. The turkey meat is removed from the platter and packed into glass storage containers, the white and dark meat kept separate. This isn't strictly necessary, but it allows for more flexibility in reheating. You can defrost only white meat or only dark meat, depending on preference. Each container is labelled with a piece of painter's tape and a permanent marker: turkey breast 11/28 and turkey thigh 11/28. Dates on leftovers are not optional. The stuffing is similarly containerized, pressed into rectangular glass containers that will stack efficiently in the refrigerator and eventually the freezer. The mashed potatoes go into a large bowl with a lid. The vegetables and green beans combine in one container. They'll be reheated together anyway, so separating them is unnecessary. The turkey carcass, the bones, wings and bits of meat too small to slice, goes into a large stock pot with water to cover. You add a roughly chopped onion, a couple of carrots, celery stalks and some peppercorns. This will simmer on low overnight, transforming the remains into turkey stock that you'll use for soup later in the week. Nothing is wasted at Wayne Manor, not through parsimony, but through proper management. The containers go into the refrigerator, which is large enough to accommodate them all without difficulty. The Wayne Manor kitchen refrigerator is a commercial unit, 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide, with adjustable shelving that allows for flexible storage. You arrange the containers logically, items that will be eaten first on the more accessible shelves, items destined for the freezer grouped together for easy transfer tomorrow. The serving dishes require washing. You fill one side of the large double sink with hot, soapy water. You use a gentle dishwashing liquid that's effective but not harsh on fine china and crystal. The water is almost uncomfortably hot, but hot water cleans better than warm, and you've developed tolerance for it over decades of dishwashing. Each dish is washed individually, scrubbed with a soft sponge that removes food residue without scratching finishes. The china is rinsed under hot running water until no soap remains, then placed in the drying rack. Crystal glasses require special attention. They're washed with care to prevent chipping, dried immediately with a lint-free towel to prevent water spots. The washing takes time. You don't rush it. These dishes are valuable. Some of them are antiques, some are simply expensive. All of them are part of Wayne Manor's heritage. They'll last another century if properly maintained, or they'll chip and crack and eventually break if handled carelessly. You've broken exactly 3 pieces of Wayne Manor china in 43 years, and each one pained you. Once the serving dishes are clean and drying, you turn attention to the cooking vessels. The roasting pan, still bearing the evidence of the turkey's long roast, is soaked in hot water to loosen. The baked on fond. The stock pot that held the giblet stock needs scrubbing. The saucepans, skillets, mixing bowls, all of them are washed and dried and returned to their designated storage locations. The kitchen counters are wiped down with a solution of mild cleaner and hot water, every surface receiving attention. The stovetop is cleaned, the burner grates removed and scrubbed, the drip pans underneath wiped clean. The oven interior is checked. Some drippings from the turkey have spattered on the bottom, so you make a note to run the self-cleaning cycle tomorrow. The floors are swept, the small accumulation of dropped vegetable peelings and breadcrumbs removed. The compost bucket is emptied into the Manor's composting bin outside. The trash is collected and taken to the bins in the service area. Gradually, the kitchen returns to its pristine state, all evidence of the day's cooking removed, except for the lingering scent of roasted meat and herbs. You've been cleaning for over an hour, moving through the tasks with the same methodical attention you brought to the cooking itself. This is the part of cooking that people often ignore when they think about meal preparation. The cleanup takes as long as the cooking, sometimes longer, but you don't mind it. There's satisfaction in restoration, in taking disorder and transforming it back to order. The kitchen that was chaotic with preparation is now clean and ready for tomorrow's much simpler breakfast. Everything is in its place. Everything is clean. Everything is prepared for the next use. You brew one final cup of coffee, decaffeinated this time, since it's evening and you still need to sleep tonight. This cup is taken to the small desk where you sit and review the day in your leather-bound notebook. You make notes about what worked well, what could be adjusted next year, the timing that proved accurate, and the timing that needed modification. Turkey 14 lbs, 4.5 hours at 325 degrees. Perfect. Herb butter under skin, very effective. Stuffing, recipe unchanged, excellent results. Consider reducing quantity next year, if dining alone. Mashed potatoes, perfect consistency. Used 1 cup cream, 4 TBSP butter for 4 large russets. Gravy, giblet stock foundation essential. Deglazing pan critical for depth. Vegetables, maple glaze successful. Roast time 40 minutes, check at 30. Green beans, blanching ahead effective. Final sauté, 2 minutes sufficient. Rolls, recipe as written, excellent. Second rise 30 minutes adequate. These notes will be filed, consulted next year when you prepare Thanksgiving dinner again. Recipes may seem fixed, but they're actually living documents, improved through iteration and notation. Next year's dinner will benefit from this year's observations, and the year after will benefit from next year's. This is how excellence is maintained, through careful attention, through documentation, through the commitment to continuous improvement, even in small things. The coffee is finished, the notes are complete, the kitchen is clean, the day's work is done. It's 9:37 p.m. You've been awake since 4:47 a.m., active for nearly 17 hours, most of them spent on your feet, engaged in physical labour. The fatigue you felt earlier has intensified, but it's still not unpleasant. It's earned fatigue, the body's signal that effort has been expended in service of a goal. You'll allow yourself dessert before retiring, a slice of pumpkin pie with whipped cream, consumed at the kitchen counter while standing, informal after the formality of dinner. The pie is excellent. You made it yesterday, and the overnight rest has allowed the flavours to meld and mature. The whipped cream is freshly made, sweetened lightly, soft but not runny. The pie is sweet but not cloying, spiced with cinnamon and ginger and a hint of cloves, the traditional Thanksgiving flavours. The crust is flaky and buttery, tender enough to cut easily, but structured enough to hold together. You eat slowly, savouring it, the last taste of Thanksgiving dinner before you go to bed, and this long day finally ends. The pie plate is washed and dried. The dessert fork joins the other clean dishes. The kitchen lights are turned off one by one, leaving only the under-cabinet lighting that provides gentle illumination for nighttime navigation. You make your final rounds of the manor, checking that the dining room candles are fully extinguished, that the exterior doors are locked, that the security system is armed, that everything is as it should be. These checks are routine, performed every night, but tonight they feel like a closing ritual, a formal ending to Thanksgiving Day at Wayne Manor. You climb the service stairs to your quarters, your feet heavy on steps you've climbed thousands of times. The staff wing is quiet, as it always is. You're the only permanent resident now, the other rooms held ready for staff who no longer exist or visit only occasionally. Your bedroom is exactly as you left it this morning. Bed made with military precision, everything in its place, ordered and calm. You prepare for sleep with the same ritualized attention you've brought to everything else today. Suit hung properly, shirt placed in the laundry hamper, nighttime ablutions performed thoroughly. The bed welcomes you, the mattress familiar beneath your tired body. The room is cool, 62 degrees maintained by the climate control, and the blankets are sufficient for warmth. You lie on your back for a moment, looking at the ceiling, thinking about nothing in particular and everything in aggregate. Today you prepared and consumed Thanksgiving dinner alone in a house designed for family, for gathering, for shared celebration. The work was substantial, the results were excellent, the experience was solitary. You maintained traditions, upheld standards, and performed your duties with the same dedication you've brought to this work for 43 years. Tomorrow, you'll wake early again. The manor will still be empty. Life will continue in its current configuration. But tonight, Thanksgiving is observed, the feast is consumed, and the work is done properly. You roll onto your side, finding the position that allows for easier sleep. Your eyes close. The day's accumulated fatigue pulls you toward unconsciousness with gentle insistence. Thanksgiving at Wayne Manor concludes as it began, in silence, in solitude, in the faithful execution of duty by a butler who serves even when no one watches. And now, as you lie here listening, let your own breathing begin to match that slower rhythm. The rhythm of a house settling into night, a great building cooling degree by degree, foundations solid beneath you, walls holding back the world. Perhaps you're aware of your own body making small adjustments, finding the exact position that allows for complete rest, the way your shoulder settles more deeply into the mattress, the way your spine aligns, the way tension drains from muscles that have held you upright all day. That butler in his quiet room is allowing himself the same luxury you're experiencing now, the permission to rest, to let the day's efforts fade into the past, to acknowledge that the work, however substantial, is complete, and that sleep is the reward. You might notice the quality of darkness behind your closed eyelids, not complete black, but the gentle darkness that allows the mind to drift. And in that darkness, perhaps you can imagine the grounds of Wayne Manor, the long lawn stretching away toward the distant tree line, the fountain standing silent and still, the garden paths empty under November stars. The house around him, around you, holds its own kind of consciousness, the way very old buildings do. Not awareness exactly, but presence, the accumulated weight of years, of seasons cycling through, of countless days just like this one, and countless days completely different, all of them held in the structure, in the wood and stone and plaster. Your breathing continues, in and out, each breath slightly slower than the last, the way breathing naturally slows as sleep approaches, the body knowing what it needs, the mind beginning to release its hold on wakefulness, thoughts becoming less linear, more dreamlike. In that kitchen, empty now and dark except for the under-cabinet lights, the stock pot simmers on its lowest setting, the turkey bones giving up their essence, transforming into something new. And this too is a kind of service, this quiet overnight work that happens without supervision, without attention, the patient extraction of flavour from remains. And perhaps you're aware of your own thoughts beginning that same transformation, becoming less solid, less specific, the concerns of the day softening, losing their sharp edges, becoming something more like memory than immediate concern. The bed beneath. You, beneath him, provide support without resistance, that particular quality of a mattress that has learned your body's contours, that receives your weight and distributes it evenly, allowing rest without pressure, comfort without effort. Time moves differently now, seconds stretching, moments blending into each other, the sharp divisions of waking life. This happened, then that happened, giving way to something more fluid, the way events in dreams seem to occur simultaneously rather than sequentially. And in that great house, in that empty manor on its hill above Gotham, a single butler sleeps, having maintained standards, having upheld traditions, having done what needed doing despite the absence of witnesses, and his rest is earned, his sleep is peaceful. His dreams, if they come, are gentle. Your own rest approaches with the same gentle certainty, not forced, not rushed, simply arriving the way night arrives after day, the way sleep follows wakefulness, natural, inevitable. Welcome. The sounds around you, whatever they are, become part of the atmosphere of rest, no longer distinct sounds, but a texture of quiet, white noise, the background hum that allows sleep rather than preventing it. Sounds that don't require attention, don't require response, sounds that simply exist while you drift deeper. That bedroom in Wayne Manor grows quieter still, not silent, because nowhere is ever truly silent, but quiet enough that the butler's breathing becomes the primary sound. In, out, steady, slow, the rhythm of deep rest, and your own breathing matches that rhythm, perhaps without your conscious choice, the body making its own decisions now, taking over from the conscious mind, knowing what it needs, adjusting, settling, allowing sleep to deepen. The temperature is perfect, not too warm, not too cool, the blankets providing exactly the right weight, the right warmth, the way blankets feel when you're truly relaxed. When your body has released its tension, when sleep is no longer approaching but has arrived. In the morning, that butler will wake again, will rise before dawn, will begin another day of service in that great house. But that is hours away, irrelevant to this moment, which is about rest, about release, about the permission to simply be without effort, without purpose, simply breathing, simply resting. And you too can let go completely now. Let the story fade, let the images dissolve, let the last threads of waking consciousness slip away like water through fingers. Nothing to hold, nothing to maintain, only the gentle descent into deep, deep rest. The manor sleeps, the butler sleeps, the grounds lie still under stars, and you sleep as well, deeply, peacefully, completely. Rest now. Let go. Sleep. Good night.